The National Electrical Code, or NEC, mandates a means of disconnect for water heaters encompassing both gas and electric models. This requirement ensures the safe isolation of the water heater during maintenance or repair procedures. The means of disconnect can be achieved through several methods. Firstly, a dedicated circuit breaker or fuse disconnect switch can be installed within the electrical panel. Secondly, a cord and plug arrangement can be utilized, connecting the water heater to a receptacle outlet. It is crucial that the receptacle outlet is readily accessible and situated within sight of the water heater. Hard wiring establishes a more secure and permanent electrical connection, while the cord and plug disconnect method offers enhanced convenience for specific applications. It is essential to be aware of certain exceptions to the disconnect requirement. Electric water heaters with a rating of 30 amps or less and a total heating capacity of 6 kilowatts or less may be exempt. Additionally, water heaters equipped with a built-in disconnect switch that adheres to NEC standards may not necessitate an external disconnect. When selecting a circuit breaker for the water heater, it is essential to determine the appropriate amperage. Consult the water heater's nameplate to ascertain its power consumption in watts. Divide the wattage by the voltage of the electrical supply, typically 240 volts for a standard water heater circuit, to calculate the amperage. Select a circuit breaker with an amperage rating that is equal to or slightly higher than the calculated amperage. For example, if the water heater consumes 4,500 watts on a 240 volt circuit, the amperage is approximately 18.75 amps. A 20 amp circuit breaker would be suitable. For hard-wired connections, use appropriately sized conductors based on the amperage of the circuit and the applicable ampacity tables in the NEC. Use a cable or conductors rated for at least 75 degrees Celsius. Securely connect the conductors to the water heater's terminals and the circuit breaker, ensuring proper torque. In the case of cord and plug connections, use a heavy-duty extension cord rated for the water heater's amperage. Ensure the receptacle outlet is in good condition and properly grounded. Do not use multiple extension cords or adapters, as they can create a fire hazard. When installing a fuse disconnect switch, select a switch with an amperage rating that matches the water heater's requirements. Install the switch in an accessible location near the water heater. Wire the switch according to the manufacturer's instructions, using appropriately sized conductors. Use fuses with the correct amperage rating to protect the circuit from overcurrents. The NEC provides detailed guidelines for electrical installations, including water heater disconnects. Consult the latest edition of the NEC for specific requirements and best practices. It is essential to adhere to all applicable electrical codes and regulations to ensure the safety and proper functioning of the water heater. Proper grounding is crucial for electrical safety. Ensure the water heater is properly grounded to the electrical system. Use a grounding conductor of the appropriate size as specified in the NEC. Connect the grounding conductor to the water heater's grounding terminal and the grounding busbar in the electrical panel. The NEC specifies requirements for overcurrent protection of electrical circuits. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to protect circuits from excessive current flow, which can cause overheating and fire hazards. Select overcurrent protection devices with the appropriate amperage rating for the circuit. When working with electrical systems, always prioritize safety. Disconnect the power supply to the circuit before performing any work. Use insulated tools and wear appropriate personal protective equipment such as safety glasses and gloves. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, consult a qualified electrician. Regular maintenance of the water heater can help prevent problems and extend its lifespan. Inspect the water heater periodically for leaks, corrosion, and other signs of damage. Flush the water heater annually to remove sediment buildup. Replace the anode rod every few years to prevent corrosion of the tank. The NEC addresses the requirements for the location and accessibility of electrical equipment, including water heater disconnects. Locate the disconnect switch or circuit breaker in an accessible location free from obstructions. Ensure the disconnect is readily identifiable and clearly labeled. The NEC provides guidelines for the proper wiring methods and materials for electrical installations. Use approved wiring methods and materials that are suitable for the environment and application. Protect wiring from physical damage and ensure proper support. The NEC specifies requirements for the installation of electrical receptacles. Install receptacles in accordance with the NEC guidelines, ensuring proper grounding and polarity. Use tamper-resistant receptacles in areas where children are present. The NEC addresses the requirements for the identification of electrical equipment. Label electrical equipment clearly and accurately, indicating its function and voltage. Use permanent labeling methods that are resistant to fading and damage. The NEC provides guidance on the proper use of electrical equipment. Use electrical equipment only for its intended purpose and in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Avoid overloading circuits and using damaged equipment. The NEC emphasizes the importance of electrical safety training. Provide employees with adequate training on electrical safety practices and procedures. Ensure employees are qualified to perform the electrical work they are assigned. The NEC addresses the requirements for electrical inspections. Conduct regular electrical inspections to identify potential hazards and ensure compliance with codes and regulations. Correct any deficiencies promptly to prevent accidents and injuries. The NEC provides guidance on the proper selection and use of personal protective equipment for electrical work. Provide employees with appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses, gloves, and insulated tools. Ensure employees are trained on the proper use and maintenance of personal protective equipment. The NEC addresses the requirements for lockout-tagout procedures. Implement lockout-tagout procedures to prevent accidental energization of electrical equipment during maintenance and repair. Train employees on the proper lockout-tagout procedures. The NEC provides guidance on the proper handling and disposal of electrical waste. Dispose of electrical waste properly, following all applicable environmental regulations. Recycle electrical components whenever possible. The NEC addresses the requirements for emergency procedures in the event of an electrical accident. Develop and implement emergency procedures for electrical accidents, such as electric shock and fire. Train employees on the emergency procedures. The NEC emphasizes the importance of continuous improvement in electrical safety. Continuously evaluate and improve electrical safety practices and procedures. Stay up to date on the latest codes and regulations. Water heaters typically operate on 240 volts alternating current. This higher voltage allows for more efficient heating of the water. However, it also presents a greater risk of electrical shock. Exercise caution when working with electrical systems and follow all safety precautions. The heating elements in electric water heaters are typically made of resistance wire. When electricity flows through the resistance wire, it heats up and transfers heat to the water. The thermostat controls the temperature of the water by regulating the flow of electricity to the heating elements. Gas water heaters use a burner to heat the water. The burner is typically fueled by natural gas or propane. The thermostat controls the temperature of the water by regulating the flow of gas to the burner. The tank of a water heater is typically made of steel and lined with a glass or porcelain coating to prevent corrosion. The anode rod is a sacrificial metal rod that helps to protect the tank from corrosion. Water heaters are equipped with a pressure relief valve to prevent excessive pressure buildup in the tank. The pressure relief valve will automatically open if the pressure exceeds a certain level. Water heaters should be installed in a location where they are protected from freezing. Freezing temperatures can damage the water heater and cause it to leak. The NEC requires that water heaters be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully when installing a water heater. Water heaters should be inspected regularly for leaks, corrosion, and other signs of damage. Repair or replace damaged water heaters promptly. Water heaters can be a significant source of energy consumption in homes. Consider using energy-efficient water heaters to reduce energy costs. Insulating the water heater can also help to reduce energy costs. The NEC provides guidelines for the installation of electric vehicle charging equipment. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing electric vehicle charging equipment. Electric vehicle charging equipment should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged electric vehicle charging equipment promptly. Electric vehicle charging equipment can be a significant load on the electrical system. Ensure the electrical system is adequate to handle the load of the electric vehicle charging equipment. The NEC addresses the requirements for the installation of solar photovoltaic systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing solar photovoltaic systems. Solar photovoltaic systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged solar photovoltaic systems promptly. Solar photovoltaic systems can generate electricity and reduce energy costs. The NEC provides guidelines for the installation of energy storage systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing energy storage systems. Energy storage systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged energy storage systems promptly. Energy storage systems can store electricity and provide backup power. The NEC addresses the requirements for the installation of generators. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing generators. Generators should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged generators promptly. Generators can provide backup power during power outages. The NEC provides guidelines for the installation of fire alarm systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing fire alarm systems. Fire alarm systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged fire alarm systems promptly. Fire alarm systems can detect fires and alert occupants. The NEC addresses the requirements for the installation of security systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing security systems. Security systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged security systems promptly. Security systems can deter crime and protect property. The NEC provides guidelines for the installation of communication systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing communication systems. Communication systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged communication systems promptly. Communication systems can facilitate communication and improve efficiency. The NEC addresses the requirements for the installation of data systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing data systems. Data systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged data systems promptly. Data systems can store and transmit data. The NEC provides guidelines for the installation of control systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing control systems. Control systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged control systems promptly. Control systems can automate processes and improve efficiency. The NEC addresses the requirements for the installation of lighting systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing lighting systems. Lighting systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged lighting systems promptly. Lighting systems can provide illumination and improve visibility. The NEC provides guidelines for the installation of heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, or HVAC systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing HVAC systems. HVAC systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged HVAC systems promptly. HVAC systems can provide heating, cooling, and ventilation. The NEC addresses the requirements for the installation of plumbing systems. Follow the NEC guidelines carefully when installing plumbing systems. Plumbing systems should be inspected regularly for damage. Repair or replace damaged plumbing systems promptly. Plumbing systems can provide water and remove waste.